Beirutopia is a photographic work that I've been doing for the last 10 years. It covers the history of Beirut following the Lebanese civil war, mainly the construction boom of the last 30 years, and lately the recent economical collapse, the pandemic, and the explosion, the explosion at the port of Beirut. For 10 years, I didn't know when to end the series because there was more construction sites and there was more billboards, and it was out of sudden. The economical crisis, the financial system collapsed. It was kind of the explosion of the bubble. And then there was another explosion, but a real one. That was the explosion of the port. So this city's whole history is built on construction and destruction. It's this history of violence surrounding the city that is portrayed behind this beautiful facade of the images I'm showing. And that's the time where the pandemic started and the streets were empty. So the streets started looking exactly like the poster images that I've been documenting for the last 10 years. And so these are the vertical images in the exhibition. And then while the horizontal images would be the ones that shows the posters in their real environment. So there's this work about virtuality and reality, the present of the city and its future. Following the civil war, nobody was really thinking about constructing democracy, for example, or constructing the psychology of the people. So it was more about all the time about infrastructure and architecture. And this is why in my picture you don't see human beings, because the city was not made. The city that were fantasized was not created for people to live in it. My vision was I was doing a critique through these images about how the city doesn't have an identity in the dream of the real estate and the vision and of the real estate promoters and the people who were using the city as a money laundering machine, or as to fulfill their architectural fantasies. Every neighborhood in the city, every corner was a construction site. Wherever you go in Beirut, there was noise and the dust and these images that were selling the dream city. So mainly there's a big hole in the ground, and around the hole they built fences, huge fences that hides the construction sites, hides the dust, hides the workers, hides everything that we don't want to see. And on these fences, the promoters, they put huge billboards that on which they have a 2D rendering of the projection of how this building will look like in its real environment. So I was photographing the billboard, but always making sure of keeping an element from the real city in front of it. So there is this mise en abîme between the real city and the imagined fake city, to create this feeling of inquiétante étrangeté that makes you feel that something is wrong in this image. My partner and I used to live in front of the Beirut port, and during the pandemic we were photographing our surrounding from the windows of our home with a phone camera and with binocular, and we had a binocular to be able to photograph all around. And when the explosion destroyed the city and our house, and for some reason we photographed from the same place, the destroyed city, which we view in a photographic installation I'm showing here, called The View from Home, that I did with photographer Lara Tabet. And it talks about the city, it talks about Beirut, it talks about the destruction of the dream. So the photographic installation that I'm showing is a small glimpse about the city before and after, and it was a small geographic, it was a small temporal shift between pictures that we were taking from the room of our apartment before the blast and after the blast.